everybody. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen today. If you're new here, my name is Shirley, and what we're going to do today is I'm going to start by making blueberry jelly. I made a few jars, and a couple of my friends and different subscribers said, you know what, you should make jelly on the channel because a lot of people would enjoy learning how to make your blueberry jelly because it is the best. So I decided to make jelly here on the channel. Well, I reached out to a friend of mine and asked him if he could help me get a hold to some blueberries. Then he reached out to a friend of his, and I was gifted 30 gallons of blueberries. Yes, you heard me right. 30 gallons of blueberries from a local farm in Woodbine, Georgia, called B. Ford Farms in B. Ford Blueberry Farm in Woodbine, Georgia. Gifted me 30 gallons of blueberries to make blueberry jelly. So today we are going to make blueberry jelly together, and also, or blueberry jam should I say, and we are also going to make peach jam together today. So I'm going to bring you along. This is how I make my jam for my family. You should make it according to the way your ball cannon book tells you to make it and your altitude. This is just how it works for my family. You should always follow the cannon directions in your ball book for your altitude and, you know, be safety, USDA safety guidelines. Never follow just exactly how I do it, because this is how it works for me and my family and my area. So without further ado, let's get going. Okay, so I'm mashing them, and I got my stove off on high, and I'm going to let them come up to a boil. And I don't want to mash them all. I want to leave some chunky pieces in there, but I do want to mash the majority of them and get a lot of that good juice out of there. While they're boiling and they're cooking, they will pop some more. So that's probably about enough mashing. I got my jars in my oven, and they're heating up at 175, and I'll heat them up for 30 minutes. I have a 30-minute timer set on for them. And then once they heat up for the 30 minutes, I'll turn the oven off and leave them in the warm oven. And I have about 5 more minutes on my timer. I got my flats back there, my flat to my lids back there, just kind of heating up in some water on low, which is, now they say it's not necessary, but I always do it because it helps with the sealing process better. I've got my water bath canner in the front, the water coming up to a I got it coming up. I'm going to let it come to a boil when I put the pots in it, but I got it coming up, getting warm now. In the back, I've got another pot, and since it's not a water bath canner, you can use about any pot as a water bath canner as long as you put a rag in the bottom of it or some sort of barrier between your jars and the bottom of the pot. You do not want to put the jars on the bottom of the pot. So what I usually do is with my metal pots, I put a dish rag in the bottom of it so I can set my jars on top of the bottom of the pot, on the rag in the bottom. Because if you set your jars directly on the bottom of that pot, they're going to get too hot and they're going to bust. Once we get our jars in there in the water bath canners, we're going to water bath can them for 10 minutes. While we're waiting on this to come up to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and, because I have 39 cups of berries in here, I'm going to add 5 tablespoons of lemon juice mixed with liquid pectin. And I have 1 box of powdered pectin and 1 box of liquid pectin in here. And the reason I'm adding some pectin is because I do not want to go through all this work and then my jam not set up. Some people prefer not to use pectin, but I always use a little bit of pectin. We're going to add this in here. And because there's a lot of berries, it's going to take a little while for this to come up to a boil. And I am a little impatient waiting on it to boil, but that's okay. And we're just going to stir this to make sure we get all the clumps out of it. When you're doing it in such big batches, it takes time. I'm trying to get all that off that little spoon. Here we go. And as we stir this and it goes to boiling, all those, we'll get all those lumps out of there. And once we get this up to a good boil, a good rolling boil, we're going to boil it for a few minutes. And then we're going to add our sugar. But I want to boil it for a few minutes to let some more of those berries break down. But look at the beautiful color of that juice. That is a pretty, pretty color. And we'll get all that mixed in as it starts to come up to a boil. Keep on and I'll mash a few more of these while we're cooking it. Okay, now we're coming up to a bowl, and as you can see, we got a little bit of foam on top. So we're just going to kind of skim this foam off as we go. And that's no big deal. But we're kind of boiling here. So, and as it keeps kind of coming up to a little bit more of a boil, we're going to start adding our sugar to it. And because we have so many berries, we're going to add right at about 6 quarts, or a little bit over 6 quarts of sugar to it. Yeah, I said 6 quarts of sugar. I know it sounds like a lot of sugar, but we have a lot of berries here. We're just going to start stirring our sugar in, and we're going to pray that this pot is big enough to hold this whole entire thing. That's what we're praying now. Alright, so let's get this sugar stirred in and stirred down before we add the rest of it. Alright, come on, sugar. Alright, we got that sugar stirred down. So now we're going to get the rest of our sugar and stir in there. And we're going to pray that this pot is going to hold every bit of this. And if it don't, we may have to pause and get a bigger pot. Guys, I think we're going to have to pause and get a bigger pot. So, let me pause this. I'll be right back. Okay guys, here we are with a bigger pot, a much bigger pot. So we're going to have room to boil. And because once we get it boiling, we have to boil this for like 3 minutes. In that other pot, if it would have started boiling, we were going to boil all in the floor. We'd have had a mess. I didn't want no mess in my kitchen. So, we got a big enough pot. We can boil for a minute. Wow, what a pot. What a pot of juice and jelly we got going on here. So, I finally got all the sugar added to it. And, yeah. So now we're going to get it back up to a boil. I've never canned something at this massive this massive before. And so we're going to get it brought back up to a boil, and we're going to let it boil. Once it starts getting to a rolling boil that we can't stir down, we're going to let it boil for 3 minutes. So, yeah, I'll bring y'all back when it's boiling. A rolling boil that we can't stir down. Okay, our blueberries are trying to come to a boil. Such a big pot, it's going to take them a minute, so I knew that. But they're trying. So let's just keep giving them a stir. They'll come on up to a boil. We're going to pull all this foam once they boil for the 3 minutes. Then whatever foam's left, we're going to take off. Sometimes they foam, sometimes they don't. It just all depends. Since I had to change them from pan to pan, that's probably why they foam this time. Because a lot of times, they don't even foam on me. But this time, I think because I had to pour them out of one pot into the other, that's part of why they're foaming so bad. But that's not, it's not a problem. We're just going to skim the foam off the top with a spoon. As much of it as we can. It doesn't hurt anything. It just makes the jelly where it's not as pretty. And that's not a big deal. Like I said, we'll just pull it off of there. We'll just skim it off before we put the jelly in the jars. But you can see it bubbling really good. It's starting to foam up and starting to come to a boil. And once it gets to a boil that I can't stir down, we're going to set it on a timer for 3 minutes. We're going to boil it for 3 whole minutes. It won't take, if you're doing it yourself, you won't do a batch this big, so it won't take near as long for yours to boil, because you won't be doing this many berries at one time. This is just mine, and it's taken, I mean, this is 39 cups of blueberries, so it's going to take a minute. Such a big pot. And you see how much it's come up on this big pot? So you need a bigger pot than what you think you need, because it does boil up a good bit. And I thought that pot was going to be big enough, but boy was I wrong. Way wrong. And this bowl is starting to be a bowl that I can't stir down, as you can see. See, I'm having problems stirring this bowl down. It's getting there. See? It's getting there, guys. See the rolling bowl? It's kind of hard to see with all the foam on it, but I can see it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bump you. It's getting there. I can see the bowl. Alright, we're going to set our timer for 3 minutes. Yeah, now you can see it. We're just, see there? There's the bowl. And I can't really stir it down. And you got to be very careful because this is very hot. We're going to let this boil for 3 minutes. Some people do it for 1. I always do it for 3 to make sure that my berries are good and cooked and my sugar's good and dissolved. And everything's just like I want it, and I'm turning my fire down to make sure it doesn't boil over. Turning it down to about a medium high. Yeah, see, our other pot would have boiled right on over. Okay. I'm going to get a spoon. It's starting to calm down now. We got jelly back there on the wall, guys. I have got jelly everywhere in this kitchen. It's starting to calm back down now. There we go. We're starting to calm back down now. I mean, I've got jelly all over the walls back here. I'll let this keep boiling, doing its thing. And I'm going to get another spoon and I'm going to start dipping out the foam. That is, if I can find a spoon. Here we go. Let him keep doing his thing. And he's calming down a little bit now. And our timer's about to go off, so we're going to turn our eye off here. Cut him off. That's our timer right there. Okay, we've got our timer off. Now we're going to just skim this foam off the top right here like this. Put it over here in this bowl to the side. It's really not going to hurt anything to have a little bit of the foam. Stir up some of the berries so they'll move over so I can get the foam. There we go. All right. Stir up some more of the berries so they'll move over. Get some more of that foam off of there. And I think I've pretty much got most of it off the top that I can see down into that big old pot. Alright, and now here's what we're going to do. We're going to take, and I'm going to move y'all over here so y'all can see what we're going to do next. Okay, we got all of our jars in here, and we're going to bring this up to a rolling boil. And once it comes up to a rolling boil, we're going to set our timer for 10 minutes. And I'll bring y'all back when it gets to a rolling boil to show y'all what it looks like. Okay, everybody, we've reached a good boil. So what we're going to do is we're going to boil these for 10 minutes. All right, and then in 10 minutes, I'll bring y'all back and we'll take these out and we'll see how pretty our jelly is. Okay Alright guys, our jelly has been processing for the 10 minutes and our timers went off, so we're going to start taking our jars out of our water. And we're going to set them over on a towel. You never set them directly on the counter. You always set them on a towel and drain them. Look how beautiful that looks. That looks amazing. And now we're going to leave them to set up and gel. Y'all hear that popping? They're already sealing, guys. They're already sealing. So we're going to let our jelly set up and finish doing its thing and let them seal. And we ended up with quite a few jars of jelly. And we're going to let all this do its thing. And in a few days, one of our other videos, we'll make some biscuits and we'll taste this wonderful jelly together. We sure will. Thank you for watching and making jelly with me today in my kitchen. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all my subscribers, and I will see you in a few days. I love you. Bye.